Candidates Forum on the traditional lands of the Hupatchisiset and Sashat First Nations. I'm Ross Hawes. I'm the second Vice President of the Alberni Valley Chamber of Commerce, and I'd like to welcome you to tonight's All Candidates Forum. As you can tell, we have 19 are here. 18 of our 20 candidates are here, and because we have so many candidates, we are not going to have the opportunity for each candidate to answer each question or allow time for everybody to ask all the questions that they want to answer. So we've decided that we're going to have numbers, which you have one if you would like to ask a question. Here's how the evening is going to run. We're going to have each candidate do a 2-minute opening remark. Then we will draw numbers out. If your number comes up, you'll come to the microphone in the center here beside Doug, and you will have 30 seconds to ask your question. You can choose which candidate you wish to ask the question to. The candidate will have 1 minute to answer the question. If you go over time, candidates and question askers, we will cut you off. Also, we will allow 1 second candidate to answer the question. We will rotate through the list of candidates who are here to be the second answer to the question. After we go through that portion, we'll close the evening by having each candidate in reverse order of our opening remarks do a 1-minute closing. All right? All right, and I would like to thank all the candidates for showing up tonight. I know that you also had a session over at the high school today. I understand that went very well. And this time of year, everybody wants to talk to the candidates. All right, before we start, too, I'd like to recognize the Labor Council, and we do have a couple of the members here, both Jen Mills and Vicki Thader. Thank you very much, and thank you for sponsoring tonight's event. Doug Barber is operating our timer. Okay, enough out of me. Let's get going here, and we are going to go by the order that the candidates were also drawn for the ballot. So up first, we would like to introduce Helen Robertson.
Hello. My name's Helen Robertson. I am running for council. I have lived in Port Alberni for the last 36 years, served with a variety of organizations as a volunteer and employee. I have worked in the tourism industry, the hospitality industry, the forest industry, and the health services in Port Alberni. I know and love Port Alberni well. I am a common sense person with street smarts. I won't let you down. My top mandates are, number 1, reducing crime in Port Alberni. I think Brian Hunter is a good addition to our Port Alberni detachment. I will do all I can to support his efforts to reduce crime. Number 2, I want to keep the taxes low for Port Alberni by bringing in extra revenues, perhaps by charging a fee at the 2 sandy dumps within the city. Number 3, waive the $16 boat launch fee for seniors. Excuse me. Oh, is that a bell? Number 4, open the gates to the families who want to enjoy the great outdoors surrounding Port Alberni. Please vote for me, Helen Robertson, October 20th.
Thank you, Helen. Up next, Rick Ethier.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Rick Ethier. I thank the Chamber of Commerce and the Labor Council for sponsoring this platform that allows us to introduce ourselves to you. I'm here today to explain the reason why I'm letting my name stand for the position of councillor. My qualifications come from an extensive knowledge in the developing and construction of commercial and multi-residential projects. In my construction business, I had many dealings with mayors, directors, MLAs, MPs, Prime Minister, planning departments, building departments, and First Nations. My platform consists of 3 focuses. 1 is Green Initiative. I will be supporting Mike Rutan as mayor. I'm doing this for several reasons. He has initiated the Climate Change and Food Security Committee, and his vision of the future complements permaculture development. 2nd is spending the tax dollars responsibly. I will promote budgets that have no tax increases. I would like to see tax decreases. If that could happen, we definitely would be the best place to live in Canada again. 3rd is affordable housing. I'd like to implement a program that would introduce food security through affordable housing. Promoting local grown produce will act as the anchor that will support the production of single-family farms. My plan is directed at the young people. I am committed to giving our children the opportunity to stay and live in this beautiful valley. I have pamphlets that explain the program on your seats. Please vote for me on October 20th. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. And just a reminder, I forgot to mention this earlier, please, if you have a cell phone with you, if you can put it on mute, that would be very appreciated. All right, up next, Cindy Solda.
Just shrink this down just a tinge here. All right. Good evening, everyone. I'm running for city council, and my name is Cindy Solda. I've been a member of council in the past from 2001 to 2014. I have experience, leadership, and integrity, and that will be needed to keep Port Alberni moving forward in the time of transition. I believe whomever is elected mayor and councillor needs to be first address the serious issues happening within the city walls so we can move forward within our community. It is no secret we have an aging infrastructure, and we need to work on it, and this is one of my many priorities. Along with this, Port Alberni has an aging workforce. The challenge for the city is to provide an increasing level of services for a population that is aging out of the workforce, while at the same time integrating a new generation of workers into the economy without saddling them with an unsustainable tax bill. This will be an ongoing challenge. Council needs to keep encouraging and promoting opportunities for our youth to find meaningful employment in our community to ensure that they want to live here along with the retirees, and that our infrastructure can support them without being a drain on the taxes. We need to have a balanced economy for retirees and young people. I was asked, what do I think of industry? My response was, I support industry. Industry is not what it was in the past. It is not logging or the mills. Industry is a production of goods or related services within our economy. So saying this, we need to promote tourism and work on getting more businesses industry into our community, and that in turn will create employment and add more dollars to our tax base. That in turn will decrease taxes, but not deteriorate of existing businesses and industry. We need to continue investing in the revitalization tax exemption throughout the city. Housing crisis and homelessness needs addressing, and so much more needs to be looked at. My Facebook page is Cindy Solda political page, or there's some business cards there. Pick one up, give me a call, we'll have coffee and we'll talk more. Please check out the Facebook page.
Thanks, Cindy. Next, Todd Patola.
Good evening. My name is Todd Patola. You might not recognize me because I look like Santa Claus. And the reason for that is I do have a gig that's seasonal, and that's what I'm getting in character for. But on City Council, I will not be a character. I'm running because there's a Michael Jackson song that says, I'm looking at the man in the mirror. And it ends saying, I'm going to start the change with me. I don't really think there needs to be change. I think there needs to be innovation, and there needs to be progress. We stand on the shoulders of those that have gone before us. And so to simply say that where we are now is terrible because everybody before us was terrible and we're the only people that are going to be great is incorrect. Port Alberni is a great city. It has great people, and I don't need to tell you about the wonderful, wonderful volunteer force in Port Alberni. This is a city that has pride, and we need to build on that and draw the community back together to be one community, supporting each other and moving forward to make a better day, both economically and socially. I don't have a platform of less crime, more accountable government, or more housing, because those are issues, not a platform. Those are issues that are set by the electorate, and those are the issues that every person who is elected should be addressing. What I want to do is build community. I want to make sure that every one of the city's assets is productive and not just a wasting asset, not creating anything for the economy of the city. I want to make sure all the costs of the city are shared with the appropriate partners, and I want to see the city partner with the appropriate agencies to get things done. The city has a small sphere of influence, but we can work with other agencies, such as housing agencies, agencies that work with addictions, to see that there's progress made and individuals that are in need are drawn into the community.
Thanks, Todd. As you can tell, our audio and timer are bang on, so very little leeway. Up next, Michael Moore.
Hi, my name is Michael Moore. I'm running for Port Alberni City Council. I would like to thank the Chamber of Commerce, District Labor, and everybody in attendance for coming out this evening. My wife and I moved back here 6 years ago because we wanted to raise our son in a great community. My decision for running for Port Alberni City election or City Council was to reclaim the past. My decision to run for Port Alberni City Council was based on seeing a missed opportunity. For too long, we've seen council after council try to reclaim the glory of the waterfront. Unfortunately, this has led to the reduction in services and our community's infrastructure. While the rest of the island has moved forward, we've been left behind. If elected, I'll focus on commercial viability, sustainability, neighborhood development, and infrastructure improvements. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Michael. Next, Shar Patterson.
Good evening. This is Shar Patterson, Shar's Landing without a voice. I woke up, I thought I'd be very nervous tonight, but all I can think about is I don't have a voice. So it was kind of a blessing. Good to see a lot of friends and community here. I moved here in 2010, as many of you might know. Born and raised in the Okanagan. I was 35 years, ran computer departments, the last 12 of which I worked on board a cruise ship. If I didn't do my computer job, the ship wouldn't sail. And it was a lot of responsibility. I sat on a lot of boards with a lot of upper-level management, made a lot of very difficult decisions under difficult situations. I've got a very strong accounting background as well, and a very strong security background, and I don't know that people know that about me, and I'm ready to demonstrate while sitting on our council. I'm ready to demonstrate that I can work with the team. 6 of you will work together, and I will motivate and inspire and be committed to my community, to all of you, to help move Port Alberni forward. So I really hope you offer me a chance to do that. I'm a steadfast leader in our town, and I'm really proud to call Port Alberni my home. Thank you.
Thanks, Shar. Next candidate, Ron Corbeil.
Good evening, and thanks for coming out tonight. Yes, my name's Ron Corbeil. I was born and raised in Port Alberni, and like others, I love this community. And I've been asked a lot of times, why did you decide to run for council? And quite frankly, I'm quite nervous about the future of this town. You know, I'm worried that if either APD or Catalyst shut down, I think they'd both shut down. And I think we would be, you know, similar to what's happening up in Port Alice right now. Because the pulp mill's not paying their taxes, they are in a very tough situation. I finished Malaspina College back in the late 70s. I had thought I was going to work as a youth counselor, but for people my age, you might remember Bill Bennett and the restraint program. And where I thought I was going to work was actually laying people off. So I came back to Port Alberni, and for the most part worked at Franklin River for about 17 years, setting chokers, engineering, scaling, first aid. And I had the opportunity to go to Vancouver and work for the union for 20 years, 2 years as an employment coordinator, and the rest as the health and safety and environment coordinator for Western Canada. I learned a lot, sat on a lot of committees, and I think I can bring value to the council. My platform is simple. It's the economy, it's livability, and it's affordability. We've got to get jobs in this town. This afternoon, I was down at the Sand Group. They've got close to 100 people working there. They're looking at creating more jobs. They're family-supporting jobs. Those are the kind of jobs we need in this community. Livability, people need housing. People need treatment if they have addictions. We have to beautify this community. Sometimes drive around and put a lens on as if you're a tourist, and then think about Port Alberni. We could do so much with so little. Lastly, affordability. We've got to make sure that people that are on fixed incomes can afford the taxes.
Thanks, Ron. If you've just arrived and you're looking for a seat, there's lots of room, so feel free to work your way down the side. There's some seats up front here, too. Up next, Siva Dhaliwal.
Good evening. I'm running for the City Council. My name is Siva Dhaliwal. I would like you to vote for me on the City Council. This is why I have the knowledge of how city businesses are put through City Council. We need to get our priorities right. That means you and I have the responsibility to make this city a place for our families to grow. With the 25 years of experience I have had in organizations such as petitioning for the Somas Mill to open and petitioning for the board school to remain open, and Women's Center also includes men's services.
So, no, keep going. Keep going. That was an accident.
I think, what is most important is my 6-year experience on the Advisory Planning Commission, subsequent appointment to the Senior Planning Commission. I believe if you have a seat on City Council, you are responsible for matters that come before the council. I would encourage department heads to communicate on a regular basis best practices for local problem. I would help councillors to make better decisions. My main focus is on reducing crime, encouraging job growth and economic development, and also making taxes affordable. Please vote for Siva Dhaliwal on October 20th. Thanks. Bye now.
Thanks, Siva. Our next candidate is Debbie Haggard. Sorry, Deb. You came to this side. It threw me off.
Sorry. Good evening. My name is Debbie Haggard, and I decided to run for City Council because I feel that Port Alberni has a huge amount of potential, and we need to work towards living up to that potential. For those who don't know me, I'll just take a few moments to tell you a little bit about me. I have over 20 years experience in the financial industry, and for the last 17 years I've worked with small businesses in the area. My husband and I own a small business, so I understand the daily challenges that face our small business owners. I'm currently president of the Alberni Valley Chamber of Commerce, and during my time on the board, I've helped create new initiatives and write successful grant proposals. I believe it is very important to give back to our community. I've worked on several boards and committees throughout the years. But I think the work that I'm most proud of is the work I've done to grow and develop female hockey at a local level, regional level, and also at the provincial level. When I started this journey, I felt that I knew a lot about the issues and challenges facing us. But I wanted to learn about things that I wasn't so familiar with. And wow, have I ever learned a lot. Crime is a huge issue, drugs are rampant in our community, and homelessness is 3 times what it was only 2 years ago. Families are living in tents because they cannot find rental accommodations. But with that being said, there's also a lot of optimism out there in the community. 2 nonprofit groups have submitted proposals for affordable housing projects, and they both be expected to be approved. There are two major industries that are committed to investing and contributing to our economic growth and creation of new jobs in our community. So in closing, I believe I do have the required skills in order to be a good candidate for City Council. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Debbie. Next candidate is Jerome Uchka. Oh, sorry, Jerome's not here. We'll have Hira.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Hira Chopra, and I would like to be your city councillor. I have lived and worked in Port Alberni for over 38 years, and I'm proud to be called the city of Port Alberni my home. I believe I have excellent skills and experience to provide the leadership to help our great city to reach the next level. My experience includes I served as a city councillor for the last 18 years. I took a break for 4 years. 5 years, I was the chairperson of our regional district. I own a successful business in town, and I also work at APD from last 28 years. I'm a part of our USW 185 on the executive board before we amalgamated with USW 193.7. I have lots of experience working with the other level of government, so it will help me when I will be on the council to make a right decision. As a councillor, I stand for, as everybody knows, control the taxes. I will make sure that find out more information before we spend any money, why we're spending, where the money is coming, and who's going to pay. Is there any benefit to our community? The other thing I want to make sure when I'm on the council, we will help to create the environment friendly to the business, to the investor, and do not give them wrong impression to the investor, major industries, and other people who want to come to our town to stay with us, that we are not open. We are open for business. We need everybody help. If we have a council work together, we can implementing a housing first for everybody. Everyone has a right. It's a fundamental right to have a house for everyone, and we can make it different with the other level of government if we have a good relationship with them. I will encourage our council to create an advisory committee from the First Nation people, because First Nation people are doing good.
Thanks, Hira. Our next candidate, Christopher Alamani.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to be here on the unceded territories of First Nations peoples, Huipachesset and Sisha. I'd like to talk to you today about the experience I've had in the past 4 years and what I hope to accomplish in the future. My job is to listen to you every single day. My job is to bring your concerns and the ideas, your ideas to the city and to the province and even to the rest of Canada and speak for you here in Port Alberni. I'm proud to have shared information with you about what I'm working on and learning, so you will always have an open channel for your thoughts and your ideas. In the past 4 years, I've not always agreed with my council colleagues or the mayor, but I've always tried to bring a fair, open-minded, logical, and passionate voice to the council table. I will always speak up. I will always hold our own city accountable, our council accountable, and myself accountable to you so that we all have the best possible government. I am proud that we have made real progress to reduce our energy costs at the city, reduce our carbon emissions, and that we consider climate change to be a real and true challenge that is impacting our city and all of you today. In the next 4 years, I hope to be on a council that can seize the change that we are beginning to see in our community and also address the big challenges that have appeared. I intend to use the experience and the contacts I have made to help council address the housing and drug crisis and navigate the legalization of cannabis. I want to finally see a new pool in our community for all residents to enjoy, especially families and seniors. I will continue bringing forward ideas to the city and to other levels of government that can make our city more livable so that people want to live here, work here, and create jobs. I will do all of that using what I've learned in the past 4 years. Thank you, and please vote for me, Chris Alamani, on October 20th.
Thanks, Chris. Our next candidate, Chris Patterson.
Thanks, everybody, for being here tonight. I'd also like to thank the Chamber and the Labor Council for hosting the event. My name is Chris Patterson, and I'm running for City Council. I was born and raised in Port Alberni, and I also wanted to talk about some of my previous experiences on different boards, including I used to be the Vice President of the Alberni Valley Chamber of Commerce. I have volunteered on the Solid Planning Waste Committee as well for the Regional District, and I have a long-standing history of volunteering in the community, and I sort of saw this as the next step, running for City Council so I can help set the future towards Port Alberni is going to grow in the time to come. I do think I've heard from a lot of people that they don't vote because they don't think anything changes, and I was guilty of being one of those people, and I don't like complaining without trying to do something, which was the main sort of impetus for me running for City Council. And I do think that it needs to be easier to do business in Port Alberni. I've seen lots of people who we've lost investment in town due to the difficulty of starting a business in Port Alberni. And I think we should make it easier to do business in Port Alberni and encourage, support, and promote growth, as well as fixing our infrastructure. I do think a few small changes now will pay big dividends in the future. And we need to do more with the resources that we already have, which includes the people of Port Alberni. And I think that if we can encourage everybody to take a more active role and show us your ideas and the stuff that you have, I think you can, with the help of the council and the community, we can grow together towards the future. I think Port Alberni is a fantastic place to live. Like I said, I was born here, I live here, I work here, and I'm raising my kids here as well, and I'm very proud for Port Alberni to be my home, and I hope to be of service to Port Alberni. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chris. Up next, Aaron Breivik.
Hello, and thank you. My name is Aaron Breivik, and I'm running for Port Alberni City Council. I was previously an original founder of the Log Train Trail Society. I've been a major contributor to the Kinsman Soapbox Derby in the past, as well as responsible for a gold level sponsorship with the Alberni Valley Hospice Society and the Butterfly Release Program. There's no single answers, only a series of small single problems. We have a series of community issues to address, and it's going to take a good team of people to make it happen. You're a product of the 5 people you surround yourself with most, and I'm honored to be among the other 5 chosen people here. I hope to be among them. We all have common goals we agree on: crime, affordable housing, and employment in any industry. How we approach them will be different, and that's what makes a good team. I choose to create the solution rather than wait for one to present itself. With housing, I think the city can easily just find the areas of land to use for development, slate them for long-term lease, and drop the proposal to tender, even if that means just getting our own business plans and allowing, this is where all we're going to stamp: small $500 a month, small, clean, cheap apartments for our seniors and our young people. But it's got to be cheap, can't be fancy. I'd love to see it tendered locally. I want to make business easy, and I want to go to all lengths to make it progressive and work towards these goals as a team. I'd like to make fundamental changes in the way we look at business in the Valley. I want to live in a world where laws written on paper can be rewritten, and red tape will not slow down progress. Currently, people are paying 4 to 10 months in mortgage, crossing their fingers, hoping to be rezoned before they can swing a hammer. If bylaws prevent business from opening in a fast manner, I will write new ones. Temporary rezoning permits and business license give us more community feedback. Nothing on paper is written in stone, and if needed, I'll be the hammer to bigger, faster services. Vote for me October 20th. Thank you.
Thanks, Aaron. Our next candidate, Matthew Pearson.
Make sure this is the right height. Hi, everybody. Welcome, Port Alberni. My name is Matthew Pearson, and I've been researching as to what we can do to make this a better city. We all know about this report coming out of Maclean's magazine saying that we're one of the top 20 worst places to live in Canada. And, this doesn't just hurt us in an image way, but it hurts us in a fiscal way, and it changes how people invest their money. So I would like to change the image of Port Alberni, both visually and criminally. We'd like to have visual corridors on on Johnson, on 10th, and on 3rd. I think we should have stricter bylaws. We have to enforce these things and make sure that we're not creating a non-competitive atmosphere for the businesses there. We have some of the highest violent crime rates, some of the highest OD rates. We have the highest child poverty rate in BC, okay? And this is where all this housing comes into being very important. The federal government recently mentioned a Housing First initiative, so I'd like for Port Alberni to try and snag some of that $11 billion over 11 years and get a Housing First designation for this place so we can start to fix this. Last but not least, we are two cities that are connected by a single bridge down at Roger on Gertrude there, and you know, it creates a sense of distalness, but we're all paying taxes together. We need to come together as a community and work this out, and we need to have commercial services available at the other end so we have businesses. So an express network for the bus so that people can go back and forth to work. If they're making minimum wage, why should they spend 2 of their hours on a bus, you know? And that's, I hope that's my time. Oh, I've still got a bit of time. Oh, okay. All right, well, I'll spend that 30 seconds. Yeah, so, you know, working to create affordable housing is going to be the important one, and also civil police officer so that we can connect all of our closed circuit cameras and have somebody from the city who liaises with the RCMP, because they only have 7% of their time to be proactive about crime. Thank you.
Thanks, Matthew. Our next candidate, Helen Poon.
Hi there, my name's Helen Poon. Thanks for having me this evening. I'm the owner of the Kingsway Hotel and Pub in town here, and I'm running for City Council. I bring to the table quite a lot of experience in affordable housing and also in business. And my 3 main platform goals are, firstly, tourism. I think we need to do quite a lot more to promote ourselves to the world. And secondly, we need to provide jobs for our young people in town, and one of these ways is to offer tourism jobs. Secondly, affordable housing is a very important point right now. We have so many people from all over the world coming to Port Alberni to purchase real estate. We need to save some for our local residents so that we too can have affordable housing. It's running out, so we need to look at it right away. Our rental housing currently is very much aged, so we definitely need to look at it. And thirdly, we need to diversify our economy. What that means is we need to bring in small businesses. We need to consider medium-sized businesses as well. We need to give our youth a reason to stay and to thrive in our community. And we need to prevent a brain drain. Thanks very much for having me.
Thanks, Helen. Our next candidate, Ron Paulson. Come on over.
Chris, watch these. I got it. I'm one of those guys who has to take his glasses off to read. Good evening, my name is Ron Paulson, and I'm here asking the citizens of Port Alberni for the privilege of representing you as a city councilor again. I believe strongly in the Alberni Valley and what we have to offer our residents, investors, and visitors alike. I had a long history in retail business and public relations before working for the City of Port Alberni Parks and Recreation Department as a recreation programmer. What will I bring to council? I consider myself to be a great listener, and I'm open to new ideas and thoughts. I always make myself available to others to listen to their opinions. I'm analytical in assessing issues and bring a business decision-making rationale to the debate rather than a political agenda. Integrity is very important to me and my family. A few issues that I see us facing over the next decade and beyond include economic development and job creation, infrastructure maintenance and renewal, affordable housing issues, and last but not least, crime reduction in our community. I've been very active in our community for many years, Obviously, I've served on City Council from 2014 to this year. I'm currently a director of the Port Alberni Junior Hockey Society. A new project that I've been recently become involved with is the Alberni Low Energy Housing Society. And yes, we're one of the groups that has an affordable housing project into BC Housing recently. In 2010, I was asked to be a guest speaker at the Canadian Economic Development Conference held in Vancouver. I was honored to be selected as a 2009 Chamber of Commerce Citizen of the Year. Thank you. I served as the chairman of the World Under-17 Hockey Challenge in 2009, where we actually hosted the world. We had 5 international teams here at that time. Participated as the director of protocol for the 2006 and 2009 Tall Ship Festivals. And I served as the director of the Port Alberni Arena Society from 1990 to 2002. All of these community projects have helped me grow as a person and has helped me develop.
Thanks, Ron.
Get the boat.
You forgot your glasses. And our final speaker for the opening remarks, Dan Washington.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dan Washington. I've had the honor of being your city councilor for 2 terms now, first under the Douglas administration and then under Mike Rattan. Reason I'm running is because I firmly believe there's so much more to do to get this city headed in the right direction. I have no personal agenda. In fact, as Truman once said, I don't care who gets the credit, just as long as the job gets done. Municipal politics to me is about we, not I. I will continue to work with the development of the Canal Waterfront Park with the support of local service groups and not the taxpayers' dollars. I want to develop a plan to assist the RCMP with stricter sentences on the repeat offenders that we all hear and see on the news that say known to police. And I want to successfully come to an agreement with between the City of Port Alberni and the Indigenous people to preserve the heritage in our valley, including our own Maclean's Mill. A little about myself. I've been here since I was 18. I've served on many things like Kiwanis Salmon Festival, part of the Our Town program since its inception in 1985. So pretty proud of this community, and I'd love your support to continue doing this for another 4 years. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. And there are your candidates for the 2018 City of Port Alberni civic election. I think they all deserve a round of applause for standing up and putting their names out to represent the city. Okay, now just before we begin the question section, I know we had some late arrivals come in. There are some seats up front here if people are looking for a seat. And for those of you who weren't here at the beginning, because we do have so many candidates in a limited amount of time, we've put together a system where we're going to draw numbers. If you don't have a number and you arrive late, you can still get a number and have your question asked if we draw your number. So does anybody who arrived late want to have an opportunity to have a question asked? Oh, we have a number. You're going to hang on to that. It's like a 50-50. You keep that. No. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to take questions. You'll come up to the microphone in the center. You'll have 30 seconds to ask your question, and we would like you to please respect our amount of time so we can get more questions in. You can direct your question to a certain candidate. They will have 1 minute to answer. We will then, using reverse order of the opening remarks, ask a second candidate to answer that same question in the idea of fairness. All right? Everybody understands that. And we're not going to get to everybody, but we'll get to as many as we can if you keep your questions short and they keep the answers on time. All right. Lucky, first question. I'm just going to read the last 3 digits, 038. Who has ticket number 038? We're only going to give you a little bit of time because we do want to keep things moving tonight. Oh. Carry on. 013. Maybe we should make this a 50-50. All right, 008. There we go. All right. Who would you like to address your question to? And feel free to use the microphone to move it up a little bit because we are recording this for Shaw. We want to make sure we get all the best audio we can.
Good evening. I have a question for Chris Alemany. Several months ago, it was learned that you were using several Facebook accounts, social media accounts, under your own name and an assumed name. Can you please explain to the electorate why you didn't do the right moral principle thing and resign?
Thank you very much for the question. So first, there's my account, and there was one other Facebook account. So I just want to make sure that that's clear. What I stand up here for today is for accountability, and I'm accountable to everyone here. I ran my campaign the first time around on transparency and accountability, not only for the city, but for myself. So the best answer I can give is today I sit and stand here accountable to you, and whatever decision you make, that's a decision. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Chris. Now, that's a hard question to redirect to a second candidate, but in fairness of doing this, I'm just going to ask, and we're going to go in reverse order, so Dan, I'm going to ask you to come up and just speak to the social media policy for candidates. I'm just working backwards.
As my friend Jack Buffy used to say, unaccustomed as I am to public speaking, I'm not really the right person to talk about social media. I'm not big on social media. My presence there is, my footprint there is very small. The reason for it, to me, social media has become what my parents used to read the National Enquirer. For some of you out there, you understand the National Enquirer? That's what I feel. That's what I see Facebook and the social media today. So most of it's got to be taken with a grain of salt. So that's all I have to say about that. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. I appreciate you being a good sport. Okay. Check your tickets. Looking for 033. All right, come on up to the center, sir, or you want to shout it out from there? We'd appreciate you on a microphone just because we are recording it.
Well, just generally to City Council. Been here 57 years.
You need to direct your question to a specific candidate.
Well, last when the gentlemen were running for mayor, very qualified people, police, and less than that. We need something different for our
Yeah, if I could get you, just come up to the center and use the microphone up at the center. Or feel free to use the one right here.
I was going to say I've been here 57 long-suffering years, but not so. I'm an old Montrealer, came here for a visit for Christmas time, fell in love with the place. We're still here, raised a family, et cetera, et cetera. I'm a business person, and the one thing in Port Alberni that I had even worked is downtown redevelopment, something like what Lethbridge did, et cetera, et cetera. Unfortunately, I never ran for politics. But the one thing,
do you have a specific question for a specific candidate?
Well, yes and no. It's an open thing. It's a subject matter. I'd like you people, whoever runs that, I'm even willing to help you on that. The one thing that Port Alberni could stand for, we're an isolated end of a spot, it would be for a duty-free port. And that, you will never imagine, it's a distribution point where they bring stuff in without all the rigmarole and they redistribute from here. Creates an incredible amount of jobs, an incredible amount of business. There's no end to what could be done in that. That's what made Dublin, Ireland, that. Most countries in the world have a duty-free port, and that's the wealthiest part of any country.
Okay.
Is where you have duty-free port.
Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to, working in reverse order, ask Ron Paulson to come on up and talk about a duty-free port. Fair? Thank you. Thank you for bringing that up. Thought you were perfect for that.
Oh, thanks. Well, being pro-business, I think it's a great concept. I think that recently the Port Authority just announced a duty-free component to our port just last week, as a matter of fact. I haven't read the details on that, but it's a great concept, and you know, we'll have a look at that and see where it takes us. Thank you.
Thanks, Ron. All right, I'm going to go over the rules one more time. Please come to the center. We are recording the program so that we'll have good audio for the viewers who weren't able to make it to tonight when they're watching it. Keep your question to 30 seconds. If you don't have a specific candidate that you would like to ask the question to, I can just go to the next one in order, working back reverse. So don't worry about that. All right, next number, 019. There we go. Oh, and please state your name.
Michael Stewart's my name, and I didn't even get applause.
Everybody.
Oh my God, I burned up my 30 seconds. Listen, there are several communities, and this question will be directed to Helen Poon first and possibly Chris Alemany. But anyway, there's many communities within our province who have developed appropriate technology or appropriate energy, renewable energy projects. For example, Dawson Creek and the Bear Mountain wind reserve there, wind turbines that they've installed, and it's very successful.
All right, Helen, if you want to come out and answer the question first.
Okay, I think the question was about wind generation. I think that's a very good idea. We do need to promote alternative ways to generate energy, and one of those things could be solar panels or wind generation, wind turbines, sorry. And in doing that, we could make a bulk purchase of solar panels to provide homeowners to use, maybe to heat their pools or to heat their homes.
All right, thanks, Helen. And I know that they asked you, Chris, but I'm going to stick to the format, and I'm going to ask, yes, Matthew Pearson to also give his comments on that.
Hello, Port Alberni. All right, so I love alternative energy, and I've been studying this quite a bit. Michael, you know, I've walked by your place. And apart from wind energy, which of course we have lots of the updrafts coming up to Canal in the afternoons in the summer, Scotland actually just came out with a new tidal technology that produces 3 gigawatts. It's something like 400 or 500 of those wind turbines at once. So, I mean, we live right on the coast. That's where I'd put it. I'd put it on the water because you get so much energy from the mechanical force. Thank you.
Thanks, Matthew. Number 041. There we go. Again, please state your name, the center microphone, and you have 30 seconds for your question, and direct it to one specific candidate.
Hi, my name is Heather Little. My question will be directed towards Chris Alemany. I would just like to know how you feel about the opioid crisis in town and how you feel that City Council can help with that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for the question. It's about the opioid crisis in town. So as we know, there's an emergency happening as far as the addictions crisis, and the province has been in this emergency situation for more than a year. We have a safe injection site, an overdose prevention site right now down on 3rd Avenue. I think it's in the wrong place, unfortunately, but there's no question that we need to protect lives. And we need to put in the supports, and the city can do that in order to break the cycle of addiction and criminality that goes along with it. The city can do that. We can work with the BC Housing, we can work with the province, and they are receptive. They have money, and they have their mental health and addictions ministry. So I believe very strongly we can do more. We can do perhaps an overdose prevention site or a safe injection site here, and then work to support the people so that we can actually get them out of that cycle. And that.
Thanks, Chris. I'm going to have Aaron Breivik also speak to that.
Hello. Well, I'm not opposed to the safe injection site or the overdose prevention site, however you want to phrase it, but I'm certainly opposed to the way VHA can just march into the middle of town and be the only people that don't have to go through a zoning process or have any community input. I have a building in the 3rd Avenue district that I would have been more than happy to volunteer for those services. The fact there's not a security guard outside to witness what goes on. It's not open 24 hours a day. This is not a 9-to-5 drug problem. VHA is paying a lot of money to the people that are working there, and we need to have a community collaborative effort to really take a physical look at what goes on. I recommend anyone drive by there at 9 o'clock tonight and see what happens when the doors are closed. This is a 24-hour problem. It's a community problem, and the community needs to be working with VHA on getting better bylaws and zoning. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. All right, 004. Okay, no. How about 018? Feel free to pull the microphone down a little bit, state your name, ask your question, and identify which candidate you would like to answer.
I don't know how, just tilt it?
There you go, yep.
Okay. Hi, I'm Louise Mazaris. I don't live far from here. Can't hear me? Oh.
Here, yeah. Oh, sure, hold it if you want.
I've got things in my hand here. Does that work now?
Yep.
Okay. A little bit closer.
Yeah, you're right up to it.
There.
Present your joint person.
Who? No, I remember. My name's Louise Mazaris. I just, myself and my sister, closer?
Yeah. We'll have you running in 4 years.
Anyway, my sister-in-law and myself were wondering, and it may not be true, is there cruise ships coming up here next spring? Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I heard it once and then never again. I just would like to see more excitement, because I find that exciting, like for businesses, and maybe get more businesses involved. I know there's always the same ones that are there when something comes up, but it's just, we're very new here. We just moved here, and we just would like to see a little bit more excitement.
Well, welcome to Port Alberni. Everybody, welcome to Port Alberni. I'm going to ask Chris Patterson to reply to that.
Yes, I wanted to echo welcome to Port Alberni, to your sister-in-law as well. When I was still on the Alberni Valley Chamber of Commerce, it was discussed that the cruise ships will be here. I think there's 3 of them coming in 2019. So Dave McCormick from the Port Authority knows quite a bit about it as well. And so I guess to answer your question, yes, they are coming, and yes, I think we should make a much more significant deal when they do come here, because they will bring several hundred people to the community, and it's a great chance for us to showcase Port Alberni.
All right, thanks, Chris. (045) 45. Don't be shy. Okay. 024 24. Oh, here we go. Please state your name, ask your question, and direct it to which candidate you would like to answer.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for everyone for being here. Jen Fisher Bradley, and my question, I'm representing a local organization that's involved in food security, Women's Food and Water Initiative. My question is directed to Cindy Solda. If elected, would you help us to improve the urban farming bylaw? At the moment, it's 25% of your property that you can cultivate. You can have a beehive, and you can have 6 chickens. We would like to see there be more land that you're able to cultivate, and also other ideas that you might.
Yep, thank you. Cindy? Oh.
what you've asked me? Okay, there was Mike. Okay, so thank you for the question. And I was on City Council when we first implemented this, what you could have right now on land right now in the city. And, you know, there's neighbors that say, no, we don't want it, and yes, we do want it. We want more chickens and that. So I would help you, but we would still have to work as a team with the 6 councillors. Also, the community would have to be involved in this. This is not just going to be a city council discussion, and we would look at other communities. I know on the regional district, where I was the chair of the regional district, we have something a little bigger in the original, obviously, right? So, yeah, I would help you through that, and that's not a problem. But then there's votes, and we would look at other communities. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Cindy. I'm going to ask Chris Alamoni to also speak on that. He's next up.
Thank you for the question, Jen. So on our current council, there's a Food Security and Climate Disruption Committee, as you know, and we've talked about increasing the ability for urban farming in general, and I think that's really, really important as we move forward with climate change, with the changes in the seasons that we're seeing. It's going to be imperative that we, as a community, are able to grow more of our own food. We only grow about 6% or maybe even less now of our own food on Vancouver Island. We used to grow over 80%. That's something that's going to have to go back the other way. So absolutely, I'd work with you with that. Continue hopefully with the Food Security and Climate Disruption Committee and the important work that they've done and the rest of council has supported, which I'm really proud of. So thank you for the question.
All right, thanks, Chris. 006.
Okay.
017, 17. Oh, the sisters have teamed up for a second question. Oh, you're an expert at it now. You're responsible.
Is it on now?
Yeah.
Okay. Now this is for, who did you want it for? Who? Helen.
Helen.
Helen? Are you Helen? Yeah. Helen, it's just regarding the other communities around Port Alberni, like Beaver Creek and things. Is there ever talk of amalgamating or sharing things? That's not a good question? Touchy. It's just that they use here and our stuff, or the stuff around here, and if we could all get together, would it not be less expensive for things if we kind of got together? Uh-oh.
Are you talking about Cherry Creek, Porto, the city, Beaver Creek, Sprout Lake? Okay. All the districts? Okay, until, that's a tough one. We're all separate, and I don't think it would be a good idea because we're on different water systems, and there's agricultural land out Cherry Creek, Beaver Creek, and the city where it's totally different. So that's all I could say.
All right, thanks, Helen. Hira, you're going to get a shot at this one.
I think it's a good idea. It's just coming like a united family. But the only thing it can happen if the provincial government want it, or the other people want to join us, and city want to take them. We as a city council should educate the other people on the other side. Your tax will not go up. It will be for the service. The problem is we are not educating our neighbors. What's their advantage to join with us? All the recreation activities are happening in town. They are part of this, and anything we want to open new one, they have to be part. So it's a win-win position if we can convince those guys come, and their tax is going to the general revenue fund to the provincial government in Victoria. Your tax stay in town. So it's a win-win position. I hope it happen.
Thanks, Hira. I've just been asked to let everybody know there is a car in the second handicap parking stall that is running, and we're just worried you're going to run out of gas or affect our carbon tax. Next number is 044. 44. Maybe they're checking their car. Next number is 027. 27. Thank you.
Good evening. It's nice to see such a good turnout. My name is Alana Miller. I'm really interested in seeing more women in politics. No offense to the men here, so I'm going to direct my question at Shar. I'd be interested to know a little bit more about your approach to the housing project. I feel like we're going all over the place, but I'd like to see a much more cooperative approach to all levels of housing. Thank you.
Thank you, Alana, for the question. I never quite know how my voice is. Very good question. I did attend a meeting at City Hall, a committee of the whole meeting, and there were a lot of interested and concerned residents. And one thing they spoke of was to create a committee that was interested in housing and building more housing for the community, but a committee outside of City Council, so it wouldn't renew every 4 years. We'd have the same group of people on the board.
Thanks, Shar. And we're going to give also Debbie Haggard a chance to address that question.
Affordable housing is a term that's thrown out there very generally, but there's a lot of different subsections under affordable housing. Right now, we need low barrier housing, we need supportive housing, we need housing for seniors who can't afford to maintain or live in their own homes any longer, and we also need affordable housing for families. So they're all very different needs, but unfortunately, we need all of those in our community right now. So the city really needs to work with the nonprofit groups so they can come forward and we can get this done. It is urgent. We're in a severe crisis right now, so we can't wait. It has to be acted on immediately. It has to be the top priority of our council, and it's going to have to be the top priority for the 100% of the council moving forward. Thank you.
Thanks, Debbie. Ticket 01010.
Hello, my name is Bev Denning, and sorry about the voice, Shar, but my question is for you. Given your background and your involvement in the city, I'd like to know what you could think you could do as a city councillor to promote the arts in Port Alberni.
Well, thank you, Bev, for the question. I do love the arts in Port Alberni. It is what drew me here, what drew me to Argyle Street. 1 minute. Continue to encourage, continue to be an advocate for everyone in the arts, and I lead by example. My place is very artistic, and my doors are open wide, and everyone's welcome. So promote that within the community.
Thanks, Shar. And Siva Dhaliwal. Siva, could you also answer that? About the arts.
I really like the arts. Which one, like many kinds, same like Indian arts, Chinese arts, also other kinds of art we really need in the museum, also maybe in the city hall too, because it look nice and especially in India. There is really, really nice art. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sila. Our next number is 02525. Oh, here we go.
This question will be for Debbie Haggard.
Could we get you to move just a bit closer to the microphone? Thank you.
Stephen Fisher Bradley, and I've got a question for Debbie Haggard, and this is about the city-owned agricultural land reserve land, the residue from when they put in Walmart and all that, and the city made a whole list of promises of what they would do on that land in order to get the other stuff taken out. And would you support a request for proposals to develop that land as it was intended by the Agricultural Land Commission as a farmer's market and an agricultural food hub?
Thank you. Debbie?
I would certainly be willing to look at your proposal and work together with you and your wife. I know you're very in tune to promoting food security. We need to promote agriculture in our community. One thing, and you also mentioned a public market, and that is one thing that I would want to work towards over the next 4 years, is having a public market, because it does increase our food security. It is a hub for the community, and it promotes urban farming. So yes, absolutely, I'd look at that proposal.
All right, thank you. And also we'd like to ask Ron Corbeil to respond to the question.
I assume you're talking about the timbered area behind the post office?
Yeah, part of it was cleared, but partly timbered, yeah.
Okay, I do have some concerns with that idea. I have no idea how much property you're talking about, but I think that timbered area does two things. One, it's a bit of a buffer from the city to Cherry Creek. And secondly, and maybe more importantly, it's an animal corridor. There's not a lot of timber left where the deer can walk through down to Cherry Creek. So if it was small, maybe. If it was large, I would probably be against it.
Oh, I would be against it too if it was cutting the forest, yeah.
Okay, thanks.
There's lots of room there.
Okay.
Thank you for your question. Thank you, Ron. Zero 22. There you go, sir.
Thank you for coming, all candidates. My question, I was going to ask it to Shar, but she's had a lot already on her.
Well, she's up next for the reply, too, so.
Mr. Moore, I'm not familiar exactly with the city's policies regarding secondary suites. Could that be used as a means to expand the housing crisis or solve the housing crisis?
Let's see if I can do a little bit better than the first time I was up here. I just spent 18 years living in Vancouver, and we had laneway housing there. You see a great benefit to being able to build small accommodations for people. It allows people to help out with their mortgages, allows them to get that mortgage helper and have a safe place for somebody else to live. I'm a huge proponent for laneway housing and small home ideas like that.
Thanks, Michael. Shar, you're up to try this microphone. It might make you sound better.
Yeah, they're having trouble.
The housing question, I would like to go back to, yes, we need more housing. Yes, there's a huge number of ways that we can accomplish that, and we have been working on the bylaws in order to make it easier to build suites. But I'd love to have this committee that's outside of the council, so there'll be some continuity, and we will be able to move forward year after year after year in this project. It's so important. Thank you.
Thanks, Shar. And thank you for the question. Number 01616.
Hi, my name's Dave Warnder. I'm the ex-president of the Canadian Port Alberni Labour Council. My question is directly to Mr. Paulson in the back. I want to get away from everything else. You've talked about housing and everything else. When are you going to start pushing for a second road out of this valley? Please.
All right.
Somebody's going to get killed in that Cathedral Grove.
That's a great question, and as you know, there has been a second road committee working on this probably for 10 different years. They've actually looked at several different routes. The Haggard route was sold to the provincial government. The provincial government came back and basically outright said no, and their alternative to that was to pour more money into safety improvements in Highway 4, which I don't believe in. We do need a second corridor. We need to expedite those safety features, and we also have to look at Cathedral Grove. But even a road through Lake Cowichan would be an alternative for me. It's way past due, and absolutely we need it. We could be stranded and isolated if we're not, in particular in a disaster area. So I totally agree with you.
Thanks, Ron. Michael Moore, we'll have you reply to that too.
Third time's the charm. So I travel back and forth at least once a week for my work in Vancouver. I have been stuck on the other side of the hump more times than I care to tell you guys. A secondary route out of town, it would be a fantastic idea. That being said, I think we should really capitalize on the potential of a new LNG plant going on up the canal, and the fact that they're going to need to bring equipment for that. Now's our opportunity to seize their excitement over that project to help them try to push another road through. Thank you.
Thanks, Michael. 02828.
Hello, my name is Gary Robertson. This question is directed at Cindy Solda. Over the last 4 years, we've seen a ridiculous amount of senior people resign out of City Hall, and my impression has been there's been a breakdown of trust and relationship between council and the mayor and the city officials. And I'm wondering if you could just, with your experience on council, if you could let us know what advice you would give to the next council and mayor, or what you would do when you get there.
All right, thank you. Cindy?
Gary, thank you for that question. That's a very loaded question, but that's okay. First of all, yes, there is a poisonous environment amongst the workers. I've talked to the workers and that, and I think the biggest thing is to empower them and give them back their respect. Some of them do not feel respected in the city. And I also believe that there was a lot of big changes, and they're all moved to Comox. And Comox hired our managers without a resume, without an interview, gave them more money, and also gave them higher responsibilities. And what does that tell you about our people leaving our community? Better jobs, better communication, everything, respect. And they were well educated, and we needed those people at this moment in time with the transition. And there was a lot of plans involved. I think that we need to just give them back their respect and have a discussion. Go and visit the guys at the work yards. Go visit the people at the yard and find, or not just the yard, but in the city staff, and ask them, what do they see for the community?
All right, thanks, Cindy. We're also going to give Todd Patola an opportunity to respond to that question.
Thanks, Gary, for the question. You used the word trust, and Cindy used the word respect. Those are two things that work together, and we need to build in with the management of the city now. We did lose a lot of skills and a lot of knowledge, and the damage is done. There's no easy way to get that back. The people doing the jobs now are great people doing the jobs. They're going to take time to learn to come up to the level that we lost. The one thing that we need to realize as a city council is we employ one person. We employ the CAO. The CAO does their job. We shouldn't be doing the job for the CAO. We shouldn't be telling other managers and other departments what to do. There's a proper process to go through, and when people subvert that proper process, then we all pay the price for it.
Thanks, Todd. Our next question, number 015.
My name is Jen Mills, and this question is for Mr. Ethier. Should you be successful, will you be supporting the current staffing levels of the Port Alberni Fire Department?
Thank you for that question. Well, we know how important the fire department is to all of us. I don't think we can take anything away from what they've been doing so far. I hear them every night pretty much when they go by, and their job is just unreal what they do for all of us. And I think that what the levels are at right now, I don't see them changing or going any lower than we have right now. With the community increasing, we're going to maybe need more, but that's how I see it. Thank you.
Thanks, Rick. And Cindy Solda, we'll give you an opportunity to respond to that as well.
Aren't I a lucky one? The fire department. I believe in the fire department, just get it straight, because I had a fire in Vancouver and we had to have the fire department. The contract for the fire department comes up at the end of next year, and that's going to be negotiated by council. And so council will have to make that decision collectively and decide what they want to do. And all that, of course, is done behind closed doors, because land, labor, and law goes behind doors and then brought forth to the public. So for the discussion on the contract, that's going to be decided at that time. And that is not one individual person. We need to hear the wishes and the wants and look at the budget and make a decision from there. There's all sides to a story, and that's the community side, the fire department side, as well as council. So that decision will be made then. Thank you.
Thanks, Cindy. If you have number 009, you are next.
My name is Jean Kangizer. I have several questions, but I know I'm only allowed to ask one. So my question today is, I was a realtor here for 18 years before I retired 13 years ago. We seem to have a lot of low-cost housing. We are about the lowest prices on the island. Sometimes we need some seniors housing, not necessarily for those that can't afford their own homes. There are many of us that I've talked to, seniors that can afford our own homes, but we don't want to be in them. We would want something nice.
What was the question, and who did you want to answer?
Yes, I think Hira.
Thank you for the question. If you can afford it, you can buy it. The thing is, we have to create an environment in our town that an investor will put some money in it. At the end of the day, when they sell the house, they can make some money. It's a non-profit organization, can't do those high classes thing. This is only private interest people has to show. But our job will be make sure their building permit is ready, their environment study is done properly, so they are not wasting their time and money. So at the end of the day, we have to create an environment so they can invest money, so they can make money, and people can have a better house if they want to. Thank you.
Thanks, Ira. And Rick Ethier, we can have you address that question too, please.
Well, I've built that kind of housing on Gertrude. I did a 8-unit complex there, and it wasn't quite the high end that I think people are looking for now, but it's a little funny. I can't understand why more of that isn't being built in the valley. We keep hearing that all these retirement people are coming, and we've got land slated for it at the old school there, and it just seems like something's holding it back for the retirement to really take hold. So I don't know if it's just the way the town is presenting itself, or the onslaught's going to come and we're all going to have to deal with it. But I'm hoping that that site on the old high school can be developed, and we can put in that kind of housing in there. Thank you.
Thanks, Rick. Next, number 04646. You might recognize this fellow.
Jack McClellan, and this question is to Ron Corbeil. Ron, I've noticed over the last lot of years you've been working with the union and the companies on safety and et cetera, and do you think that your connections with the company will help Port Alberni in keeping industry and getting more industry here?
Well, thanks for that question, Jack. Yeah, as I said in my opening remarks, I worked out of Vancouver for first the IWA, then the United Steelworkers, and dealt with a lot of companies. As a matter of fact, I had a discussion probably now 10 years ago with someone who is now a CEO of a very large forest company who felt there was a possibility for Port Alberni to be the type of place that could build prefab housing. And now we see we're purchasing prefab housing from Cumberland. And I ask myself, why can't Port Alberni do that? I see structural laminated products being made in OK Falls. They've just made a big expansion. Why can't Port Alberni do that? I do have connections. I do know people. And if lucky enough to be elected, I would work extremely hard to try to bring some of those contacts and try to bring more employment to Port Alberni. Thank you for the question.
Thanks, Ron. Helen Robertson, I'm not going to obviously get you to answer about Ron's connections, but if you could just speak briefly about your thoughts on bringing more industry and jobs to Port Alberni.
With the housing, there is a idea that I seen on one of the articles, the small housing, like there are 320 square feet per house on one residential lot. If we can get some of the people, carpenters, whatever, to come and build houses on a residential lot, and that'll be affordable for seniors. And they will put local businesses, and maybe the kids can get experience building, you know. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Helen. We have 15 minutes before we will get to the closing remarks, so we do have time for a few more questions. We've gone through giving each of the candidates one chance to also answer a question that's been asked. We won't be able to get to them all again, so in fairness, I'm just going to randomly pick candidates to answer the question, or those who come up now can ask two candidates to answer their question. How's that sound? Sounds fair? Okay. 02020. So you can state your name, address your, ask your question, pardon me, and you can ask two councillor candidates to answer it.
My name is Roger Fisk. How about Cindy Soda and Dan Washington? When are you going to try to get the logging trucks off 3rd Avenue? Because you said that, why don't you expropriate the land so you can do it?
Well, another hot potato.
You owe me, Dan. Okay, logging trucks. That has, for years, that has been an issue with the city and the city council, and we were working on that just before the last election, and we came so close. We had the plans drawn. We met with businesses, the industry, because we got private road, too. You can't have a truck, you can't take trucks off the 3rd Avenue unless you have a truck route. So we came really close. So things happened, we didn't get it. You got to think one part of the waterfront there is private land. It's not ours. We just can't go in and appropriate land. I mean, I would love to be able to do that, but that we have to follow. We have bylaws. We have other, you just can't do that. So saying that, council can still keep working on it. We purchased one part of the road for truck route, and the other thing too is that there's a lot of people saying we don't want the trucks to come by our house, and part of that truck route came by a house.
What Cindy had to say was true. In the past administration, we were so close we could smell it. We had the property at Catalyst. We were just working on property towards the Western Forest Products near the APD site. Something went wrong. The next administration came in, and suddenly it wasn't a priority. Recently, it's been brought to the council's attention, and it has been put back up on high priority to come up with a truck route, be it temporary or permanent. I'm hoping for a temporary truck route, but we are working on it. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Dan. Thanks, Cindy. 047.
I'm recovering from double knee replacement surgery, so anyway, I'm going to direct this question both to Michael Moore and to Helen Poon. The question has to, I think everybody, virtually everybody, has expressed concern about creating employment, more tax revenue for the city. That's really what's at the issue, at issue, so that we can do the things that all the other things. So, Helen, you mentioned tourism. Are you able to tell us, express ideas that you have that would work towards that? And
Okay, and you can ask it from two candidates, so Helen
and Michael Moore.
Oh, Michael Moore. Okay, sorry, my apologies.
Thank you.
Thank you for your question.
You're welcome.
With regards to tourism in the valley, one of the things that I notice when I drive down Johnston Street is there's a lack of places for tourists to actually stop and experience the history and culture that we have to offer here. I think it's really important that we can take the opportunity to try to engage with our local communities on actually trying to build a cultural center towards the Victoria Quay area, somewhere where we can actually allow people that are visiting our fine city a place to actually learn a little bit about our history instead of having to go off the beaten path. Capture them when they're there.
Thanks, Michael. Helen?
Thank you.
Thank you. What Michael said is correct. We should do that. But we also, in terms of providing employment, we need to consider housing. Housing is very important. If we don't have good housing, we don't have good jobs. If we don't have good jobs, we have crime and we have drug addiction. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Helen.
Well, if I might be allowed a quick reply, I liked the gentleman who said, who confirmed that the tourists, the big boats, the cruise ships are coming next year. I don't know who was able to get that to happen. I congratulate them, and I think that's the kind of thing that, if it's done right the first year, and it continues to grow, would be those people are from all over the world, and it would really promote the community. So I hope that that's something that the council will consider. Thank you.
No, we're going to keep moving so that we can get a few. I know there's a lot of people. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, I was speaking to Chris. Number 042. We're going to keep moving because we're running out of time. I know some people still want to get their questions in.
Hi, my name is Nicole Coons. I grew up in Port Alberni, moved away for a little while, and then came back home and realized, hey, why was I doing in Alberta? Over the couple months, I've been really thinking that I always wanted to build a tiny house for myself, but I thought, no, that could work for everybody's income, no matter if you're low income or a high income. I wanted to ask Matthew and Chris at the end how I need some support how to get the funding from the government and how to pretend and get this housing going, because it's always been my dream. And I think it could work for federal government and BC government, especially if people are really.
Okay, thank you. Matthew, and then Chris.
All right, so we've had a lot of talk tonight about homelessness and building housing. So something that I haven't heard mentioned yet is something I've just learned about recently, which is the Alberni Valley Community Stakeholders Initiative. If you're serious about getting interested in housing, let's show up for these meetings. These people are going to help us apply the grants where we get federal funding and provincial funding, so we don't have to pay the taxes ourselves. Let's bring money into the community. And yeah, micro homes, also we're going to have to change the bylaws so we can have carriage homes, we can have these suites, we can create more houses where it already is. So that's just facilitation. That's what I think we should do.
And Chris?
So unfortunately, Matt, you already took my comment there, but absolutely I do have a couple of rental properties as well, and I would add more secondary suites to those. It has been a little bit laborious getting those done. So I would encourage anything like that. I would support any initiative that you had. I don't know your specific plan, but of course, anything we can do to increase housing. Carriage homes is a great idea, and tiny homes as well would be a great idea. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Chris. 032. 32.
My name is Paul McMillan. This is directed to the councillors that are presently on council. In 2015, the Alberni Valley Community Foundation had its first assessment of vital signs of Port Alberni, a snapshot of what is going on in Port Alberni. Yesterday was an update of the vital signs. I would like to know what has happened on council to make some of those a priority.
Okay, we have three returning councillors on the stage here, so which two would you like?
You choose.
Oh. Well, we just had Dan up, so we'll go with Ron and Chris.
I was at the presentation yesterday, so thank you to that group for putting together the brochure that they have. That report is very, very multidimensional and actually quite detailed in stats and so on. There are a number of initiatives in there that City Council is presently working on or supporting. I'd have to go through them page by page, but certainly that report caught our attention in 2015, and certainly the report yesterday, well done, and we'll be looking through that as well. So thank you.
Thanks, Ron. And Chris?
Thank you for the question. So, like you said, it came out yesterday. We have the highest child poverty rate in the province. And that is something that we must address. We can't address it as a city council alone. We need the entire community to come together. I think one of the main things that the city council has looked at in the past little while has been to create a social planning commission to be able to bring those issues forward and move ahead with them on affordable housing, on poverty reduction, on all of those issues that are coming forward. So moving forward, when we can work together as a community to lift each other up, be able to give our children somewhere to live that's secure and safe, then we will start to see those turn around. But it's going to take the entire community to do it.
Thanks, Chris. And thank you for the question. 003. Do we have 003? Yep. No. 048, 48.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, my name is Moira Barney. I was at ADSS this afternoon when most of you spoke with, addressed the students. With the format, it was yes, stand up, no, sit down. One of the ones that I found one of the ones I wanted to address was more than half of the people here, and Dan wasn't there, stood up for lowering taxes. And I think maybe everyone stood up for a new aquatic center. So I'm curious how you would, Todd, how you might reconcile these two opposing.
And other than Todd?
Maybe Todd and then Dan, because he wasn't there.
Thank you, Margaret, for the question. They're both budgetary items. So what we need to do is not trade off necessarily one budget item against another. If we want them both, find a way to make that happen. We can improve our budget if we first of all make sure that every asset that the city has is producing. We shouldn't have vacant lots that the city has control over, sitting there doing nothing but costing us money because we've got to mow the lawn. Everything that the city owns should be producing an income for the citizens that own those assets. The pool itself, I support, and lower taxes, I support. The pool is something that needs to be cost shared. So again, it's simply a budgetary item, but it's finding the resources to build that. And as discussion has been had around the issues of our parks and rec and who pays for them and who uses them, we need more of a cost-sharing, fair agreement with all the users.
All right, thank you. And Dan?
Sorry, I didn't hear the question very well in the back there, but to what I understand, it's the pool and taxes. Okay. The pool, definitely regional. I mean, it's enjoyed by the whole region. Let's get in there as a we and go and do it rather than as a us in the city. For taxes, I don't have a crystal ball, but in order to keep the infrastructure up to date and keep things rolling, I would never see a zero. I don't think we can ever see a zero tax increase. So there'll be as least amount of possible if we can all get together on this. We've got managers, we've got directors who know much better about our equipment, know much better about our streets and what's going on, rather than the 7 who will be elected to council and the mayor. So I would leave it up to them, but I'm sure it's a no-brainer. There's going to be some kind of tax increase if we want to keep going with our infrastructure.
All right, thank you. And I know we still have probably a few numbers. We only have time, though, for one more question. So, and then we will move on to the closing remarks. So I apologize to those of you who did not get your number called and your question asked. I will encourage you to seek out the candidates you would like to ask the question to, maybe even tonight, but if not, before the election. Last question will be 03030.
Hello, everybody. I'd like to direct my question to Debbie Haggard and also to Erin Breivik. But Dan Washington was the only one who mentioned the McLean Mill. And my question is, what do you see and what is your interest and what is your future goal for the McLean Mill?
Thank you. Debbie.
I knew somebody was going to ask that question tonight.
In 1996, the city signed an agreement with the federal government to maintain and preserve McLean Mill. It's a 42-year agreement, so unfortunately we're in it for the long term. We cannot just walk away. Otherwise, if we do, there's a huge multi-million-dollar penalty for us. I don't think we want to do that. The McLean Mill has decreased their subsidy from the city considerably since the year 2000, from $600,000 a year to $235,000 per year. So they're certainly going in the right direction. I think we need to keep McLean Mill just because it's a huge tourism attraction, and that should be a major part of our marketing strategies for the community. So I have to say I'm for McLean Mill. They're organizing events for locals and also to generate revenue. So, yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Debbie. And Aaron?
Hello, and thank you again for the question. I'm certainly not against McLean's Mill, but a lot of what she touched on is completely correct. We're not in a position to walk away from it. However, the volunteer positions that are currently responsible for looking after a lot of it would possibly be better off in the hands of trained professionals when it comes to the heritage preservation and those kinds of things. People mention cruise ships and bringing them into town, as well as having Argyle Street very cleaned up before that happens. One of those things for the trains is, and McLean's Mill, that's one of the biggest tourism draws that we can offer something like the cruise ships that come in. And I think at some point it is important, but the money management has to be, it will never be self-sufficient, but it must be sustainable. We can't throw money at a horse.
Thanks, Aaron. And thank you all for your participation in the question portion of tonight's events. We're going to move along now and have our closing remarks. Each candidate will have 1 minute to sum up their night tonight, and we will start in reverse order from our opening remarks, which means that Dan Washington's back at the mic.
Just like to thank everyone for coming tonight and thank Ron for his wonderful job doing that. And thank my family, thank my wife who puts up with me when I go down to the store to get a 2-liter of milk and it takes me 45 minutes to get home because somebody's cornered me, and we're always, as elected officials, it's always our job to answer those questions. So be warned, it's going to take some time sometimes when you're going shopping. But just want to say that if you ever watch me at council meetings, you may assume that I do nothing, and I don't feel it's necessary. If my other councillors have made the point, you don't need to hear it again. But I'm there, and I'm going to listen, and I'm going to speak up this year when I'm re-elected. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Dan. Ron Paulson.
Thank you, everybody, for coming out tonight. I just want to reflect a little bit on the last 4 years, and I'm going to tell you the first 18 months of being a brand new councillor was like drinking water out of a fire hose, trying to absorb all that knowledge and stuff. The other thing, I've been kind of going from one foot to the other, is I sit on the cruise ship committee for next year, Sisters, and there are 3 ships coming, May, June, and July. Each one of them will carry over 1,200 passengers. They are working on the shore excursions as we speak. McLean Mill is obviously a big part of that. Our community forest, walking trails, and those sorts of things. So anyway, everybody please make sure you get out and vote between now and October 20th, and I would be more than honored if you would consider me to be a councillor for you again. It's been an enjoyable experience. Thank you.
Thanks, Ron. Helen Poon.
Thank you all for coming tonight, and thank you for the Chamber of Commerce and the Labour Council for hosting tonight. I just wanted to say that if I'm elected, I will work tirelessly to bring our valley into a very sustainable and vibrant future. And I hope you will vote October 20th. Let's bring Port Alberni back to life.
Thanks, Helen. Matthew Pearson.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. Port Alberni, just the last couple things. The last time I spoke was a little bit boring and negative, but here's some of my dreams for Port Alberni. I dream big. We've got the foreign trade zone arranged by Vancouver Island Economic Association. That means they're looking to increase the gross domestic product of Vancouver Island by 10% on focusing on industrial activities. Well, we can manufacture things. We've got a deep port. This is an opportunity for Port Alberni. Somebody mentioned a second trade route, and it's always been a dream of mine to see the connection back through to Cumberland, which is doing phenomenally well right now. There's a logging road that goes there. It goes behind Comox Lake on Ash, Maine. It'd be a great place both for an evacuation route and also to make a circle route for tourists going from Mount Washington to Tofino, and we'd catch the traffic coming on that. And lastly, to celebrate what we already have. We have natural features. We have the hole in the wall. There's no parking spot there. Hey, why not put it on the map, right? Over on Ship Creek Road behind there, there's like a bunch of waterfalls and caves. Nobody even knows about it. Over by Yellow Creek on the way to Tofino, there's Mount 5040. Why not and a streetcar.
Thanks, Matthew. Aaron Brevik.
Hello, and thank you very much. Sorry my time is so limited. I really don't know what to tell you. Aaron Brevik for council. Keep it simple. Keep it sustainable. We can all remember our ABCs. I grew up here. I was a fish plant worker. And most of you guys aren't homeless or drug addicts. A lot of the people in this community are great people, and solving the crime, solving all these issues, a lot of it starts with issues that aren't city things, like getting these gates open. Somebody needs to go to bat so you can take a kid fishing so he doesn't end up with these drug problems, and they're locked all the time. Make the plan for Island Timberlands and present it so they're not scared to show up to these city hall meetings. There's a lot more to it than just stimulating the economy and beating the same old horse. Nobody's going to vote no against industry, and nobody's going to vote no against jobs, but we need to keep the taxes low, and we need to get back to how life was when you guys were around as my age. Let's get back out in the bush, and let's keep it what this valley was built on, community. Thank you.
Thanks, Aaron. Chris Patterson.
Thanks again, everybody, for coming out tonight, again, to the Chamber and to the Labor Council. I do think that Port Alberni is at a really interesting change where it's going to be very exciting coming up in the next bit, and I think I would really like to be part of that conversation, as well as encourage everybody to be part of that conversation. I do have some ideas in regards to tourism, in regards to business planning, and things I can actually bring up from my own experience, but I think the biggest thing that we can do is get together, as everybody else has said tonight, talk about community, and maybe we can all be part of choosing what Port Alberni is going to be together. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Christopher Ellerman.
Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. And
Thanks, Christopher. Howard Chopra.
Thank you. Thank you to all the citizens of Port Alberni who came here to listen to us. The only thing I can say, we are building a team, and I'm selling my resume as an experienced man who already have some experience, and I'm a team player. And we are talking about the tourism industry. I'm in a motor business. This year, we got lots of tourists came from all over the world to in our Port Alberni, but we have to clean up. We have to give the good impression, and we have to look after our people who are senior. They are on fixed income. They can't afford to raise your tax too much. So we have to make sure your money is well spent, and I'm the guy who will look after. I'm brave enough to tell them no. Thank you.
Thanks, Ira. Debbie Haggard.
Well, it's going to be a very busy 4 years for the new council, that's for sure. There's a lot of work that we have to do. The new council is going to have very many different priorities, and at the same time, they have to be financially responsible. The new council is going to have to deal with a variety of social and economic issues. It has to create a more vibrant economy, create a more livable community, and promote a sense of pride. The only request I have of you is that you go out and vote October 20th. We're all here tonight because we're all passionate and we all love Port Alberni. Each person has their own strengths that they're able to bring to the table. I'd like to thank the Chamber of Commerce and the Port Alberni District Labour Council for hosting us tonight, and thank you for coming out and listening to us.
Thanks, Debbie. Siva Dhaliwal.
Thanks for everyone coming here. Thanks for organization. I am very successful women starting the blueberry farm in Port Alberni. I use this, my knowledge in the city hall. If I elected, I have many issues. I want to show people prosperity for Port Alberni. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Siva. Ron Corbeil.
Yes, thanks everybody for coming out and for your questions, and for the Labour Council and the Chamber for organizing this event. I have a young family, not a young family, I've got 3 children, 4 grandchildren, and I want to see Port Alberni in a better place than when my father and mother left it to me. We are not the same community we were 62 years ago, and I want to see us get back there. We've got all kinds of opportunity. We've got the harbor, we've got the forest, we've got the people, we've got the scenic beauty. We just have to make that all work. Let's leave this community better than we found it. And that's one of my main reasons why I'm running. I want to leave this community in a better place. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ron. And Shar Patterson, we need one more minute out of your voice.
Well, thank you, everyone, and I tell you, this has been quite a demonstration of people who care about our town, and they know so many details about so many important issues, and they've spoke so eloquently. I lead with my heart. I'm committed to this community. I'm here because I want to be here. I chose to be here for this time. I'm committed. I'm an advocate for all, and I lead passionately. I'm steadfast for our community, and I want to work with this group to help us move forward, and it would be my honor. Thank you.
Thanks, Shar. Michael Moore.
Hi there. So I'm not really a big microphone kind of guy. So after this, I'm going to be available if anybody would like to ask me a question one-on-one. Also, October 14th, I'm holding a public town hall meeting. So you can come down and meet these fine people if some of them are available. That'll be at the AV Rescue Hall. Please come down and check it out. I can see there's a great crowd here. I just really want to leave saying that my family and I chose Port Alberni. We chose to move here because there's such a great opportunity for growth here. I think with all these wonderful people, we're going to have a really good chance at it in the next 4 years.
Thanks, Michael. Todd Patola.
So after the end of this evening, now we know all the things that council has to do. I'd like to share with you a few of the reasons why you should vote for me to do it. The last 22 years, I prosecuted criminals in Port Alberni. I've since retired from that just about a week ago. I now have lots of time to set council straight. I have a degree in law. I have a degree in business. I have a house in town that I rent below market rates because housing isn't affordable here for some people. I have been involved with economic development in the valley, promoted small businesses to start, and promoted the cleanup of the business face fronts that you've seen around town, like at 3rd Avenue in Argyle. I have been involved with housing with Canadian Mental Health Association, where we arrange supported housing at all levels for the particular needs of the individuals, not blanket housing. I have the skills to make the process work and make the dreams come true. Go Bulldogs!
Thanks, Todd. Cindy Sola.
Okay. As we move into the 2018 election, I hope we can continue community development to benefit our community, to ensure business and industry are able to grow and prosper. 4 years ago, I stated to citizens of our community that we'll begin to see a lot of positive changes, although we do have a few negative, within the next 5 years, and we have. Some very positive examples are our housing, businesses, and new residents moving to Port Alberni. We still have a long ways to go, but we must remember the past, but we also need to move forward and do what's best for our city's prosperity, but in a sustainable manner. So we still have a lot of work to do. This is only just a touch, and we're going to see more and more things happening in this community, the growth, and I think we need to be a lot more positive, although we still need to help those who need the help too. Thank you.
Thanks, Cindy. Rick Ethier.
Well, it's so great to see so many people out and that are interested in our politics. It's the questions were wonderful, and I learned so much tonight. I just can't believe how much I learned. My forte is building. I built a couple social housing projects on the bottom of 3rd and Neil and the one on top of 15th. I've built the Banfield School. I've done the commercial buildings on 8th Avenue. My goal is, if you vote me in, is I will get the affordable housing built. Thank you.
Thanks, Rick. Helen Robertson.
Thank you, everyone, for coming out. I think if I had been previously on council, I would have answered my questions with confidence. But being a newbie, I am not familiar with the city's lands, policies, bylaws, etc. If elected, I will educate myself about everything about the city. I am a very visible person in the community, and I am available. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Helen. I'm just looking at my phone, and it's 9 o'clock right on the button. That's pretty good, with a bunch of politicians in the room. I would like to just acknowledge that they're all putting themselves out there to run, to represent, and have a positive change in the community. So can we have a round of applause for all of our candidates? And just before you leave the room, thanks to our volunteers, and before you leave, I'd like to introduce the President and CEO of the Chamber, Mr. Bill Collette, for just a couple remarks, and then you can scoot out the door.
Thanks, Ross. Just wanted to thank everybody for coming out tonight. It's nice to see a great big crowd here. It's wonderful. And just so you know, just down the road, there's a similar sized crowd at the Barclay with a DFO issue, and that's where I was for most of the evening. So lots happening in Port Alberni, lots of engagement. It's really good to see. I did want to just quickly thank both Sydney and Darian. I think Darian's in the back there. He's the guy cutting off the mic. So he did his job quite well, I think. They are both with the Italian Hall and Events Center, and as you can see, it's a beautiful venue. We use it quite a bit through the Chamber of Commerce, so thanks again, Sydney and Darian. Vicky from the Labour Council, and also Doug Barber, thank you very much for your support in doing this. And I got cut off there, darn it. Just a reference to my staff, Jen Richardson in the back. She did a lot of the background work for putting this together. Bill Brown, one of our directors, was here to take my place today, and he has the right name for it. Thanks, Bill. And Nancy again from Shaw. Also would like to thank all 20 candidates. These people really have no idea. Well, 3 of them do, 4 of them do. They really don't know what they're getting into. It's quite a task, quite a challenge, and I admire each one of you for putting your hat in the ring, and thank you very much for that, and good luck. And last but not least, I just want to thank Ross Hawes, Chamber of Commerce volunteer director, and I think we'll give him a raise because we don't really have to. So thanks very much, Ross. Very good job. Thanks for coming out.
Good night, and drive safely.